Hey guys, and welcome back to Unfiltered Truth. This podcast is going to be, or this video, this live, whatever you want to call it, is going to be on the blame game. That nobody ever wants to take responsibility and they always want to point the finger. And it's everywhere, but this really just is about it being in the working world, especially in corporate or in businesses where people do not want to own the problem. There's a lot of shifting with that. I've seen it heavily with management. I've seen it heavily with senior roles. I have seen it with, bottom level employees, but I've also seen it very heavily with recruitment and HR. And especially if you get that with the entitled upper management where nothing bad is allowed, everything has to be perfect, and someone needs to be punished. You do realize that that's just bad business, right? I think we've lost what would I call it? The identity of leadership, which management is leadership. The identity of leadership is really you accept fault of whatever was done wrong for those beneath you. I'll say that again, because that seems to go through in one ear and out the other. Leadership, which includes management, you accept fault for the wrong things done by those beneath you or even yourself. Your job is to raise your hand and say, that is on us. I'll take responsibility for that. Not find any reason to point the blame somewhere else. HR doesn't like to take the blame, and they get blamed for everything. Management doesn't want to take the blame. Somebody needs to bite the damn bullet. Like, what's the problem here? Well, what if I get fired? If you fire somebody over something that isn't a horrible, super expensive decision, then that's incompetence or horribly bloated ego. You do realize you can't really tell which decisions are good and bad when learning until you've actually learned. Every decision that's bad, someone tested it out, it ended poorly, and they learned, well, that wasn't a good choice. You have to make decisions and stuff has to be wrong to learn. But you treat it like anything wrong is bad. Well, it costs money. Everything costs money. That's not even a useful argument. Now, there is some nuance to that. If you make decisions that are super expensive or cause a really big, bad problem, yes, you'll learn that wasn't a good decision, but that is going to cost someone probably their livelihood. That happens. It's unfortunate, especially if it wasn't intentional. It's unfortunate, but it does happen. That's part of life. But what is this blame culture? It's ridiculous. You really don't have I'm going to be real. You don't have the spine to say, that's my fault, I'll own it. You have to make sure it couldn't be your fault. What is the point in that? And I know a lot of them will push the fault downward. Why? If you make a bad business decision as a higher up, own it. If engineers screw up on a blueprint, own it. If sales made a bad deal, own it. If a worker was grinding some metal or stocking something on a shelf or did a transaction wrong, own it. None of this just get rid of people for any kind of mistakes. That's stupid. You can't run a business. You can't get trust. You will get people to hide mistakes because they don't want to be at fault, and don't use it as a threat. Well, you wouldn't want your name on this, would you? Did you really just say that? You're stroking your ego. That's a ridiculous statement. You don't need to fluff that. And don't tell me you're just trying to help teach people. That is not how you teach anybody. That's how you assert your ego. You didn't level with anyone. You pretty much told people, yeah, don't report anything because you'll get in trouble and probably get fired. Instead of saying, okay, did you make this mistake? If you did make this mistake, let's go ahead and talk about it and figure out what happened. Tell me how you came to that conclusion. And let's go through a little bit of learning to figure out which path we went that wasn't the right one, why it wasn't a good one, and how we can improve better. That way people can go, you know what, I made a mistake. Or you're going to laugh at this, but I call them boo-boos. for new hires, especially, I'll call them boo-boos. I kind of learned that at one of the companies I was at. I actually kind of liked it because it wasn't treated like someone brought in the hatchet because someone made a mistake. It was treated like you made a little oopsie. There's nothing wrong with using that term either, because you're treating people like it's okay to make mistakes. You're going to make them, especially in training. The first thing out of your mouth should be, you're going to screw up. You'll make a mistake. We expect that. Make the mistakes. Make them now. Don't make them later. Make them now. When I say what I'm about to say next, don't overbloat that. You don't intentionally chase every single one of them, but make as many as you can. That way you'll learn. Do not be afraid to make a mistake when you're learning. That's the only way you're going to learn. Go ahead and make it. People may giggle at you, but you know what? If you have a really good environment, the environment is a family. I kind of hate that term, but the environment is a family. We are all in it together. We're all in the same business together. Each one of us has a different part to play, which means that when you go pointing the finger with who else can be at fault instead of me, what you should be doing is saying, did I screw up? Was this my fault? Did I make the mistake? And own it. For God's sake, own it. Management needs to lead the way. If someone on your team made a mistake, raise your hand, go, that's mine. I'll own it, and then go fix it. If you are a high-level business leader at any level, whether big or small company, do not treat mistakes like a death sentence. You are ruining your own morale, you're ruining your own business, and you're not getting the right information because nobody wants to tell you anything negative because they don't want to get fired. You're not getting the truth. And if you rely on your spreadsheets for that, then I feel sorry for you. That's not how you do that. Your spreadsheets tell one data point, but you should be telling, all of your subordinates, tell me the truth. Once you tell me this, I will go to the floor and verify it. If someone's been lying to me, we're going to have a talk about that. But you should always go to the floor. Talk to the people at the bottom. It's very possible that they have something they haven't disclosed because they were afraid of what's going on here. Encourage people to do their best. Encourage reporting mistakes. Encourage helping each other. Encourage being honest. That's how you're going to get business to work well. This whole idea of pointing the finger really needs to die off. Encourage honesty. It saves a lot of money. It really improves morale, and it allows learning. You have to learn, and in order to learn, you have to make mistakes. You can't do it without that. You need an environment that encourages that. Construction, I don't think, has that much of an environment for making mistakes. People don't tolerate it because they're too busy with how much money you're losing. You're always going to lose money. If you have a high turnover rate, really, if you have a high turnover rate and you're petrified of mistakes, you have a high turnover rate. I think you have bigger problems. Part of that's going to be people are afraid of making mistakes. I mean, it's all in the same marinating pot. It's just different flavors in the same pot. So pick one out, put it in a bowl, deal with it. Pick the next one out, put it in a bowl, deal with it. Separate your business out. It's not very hard to do. Yes, you're going to take a hit. You have to take a hit one way or another. Do you want a constant heavy hit all the way down the line? Or do you want to address the issues each time, and then you'll notice that your own team is going, hey, don't do this. No, we already did this before. Here's what happened. Let's do the next one and the next one and the next one. You will see your own people networking, coordinating, and helping make sure that each person does their part, and you'll see multiple people jump in to help fix a problem. And let's not pretend like upper management can't make problems. Y'all can make a lot of bad decisions, and then you push it down to the other people to go, they can deal with it. I've seen that. You'll screw up on something up here and then tell them you have to work mandatory overtime. You are the cause for that. You made that bad choice. You overcommitted to a customer that you shouldn't have committed because you didn't even know if there was manpower for it. You shouldn't have said yes to that. Or you overordered this inventory and now someone else has to stay later. Why did you overorder the inventory? Why did you not double check to see if it was even there before you did that? Or a customer contract gets lost and now someone else has to go and try to de-escalate that. Well, the customer contract might have gotten lost because someone didn't want to own it and someone didn't want to communicate with the customer. You should have gotten on that phone. You should have apologized for the lack of communication. You should have said, let's make this right. You should have gotten on that call. You should have bit the bullet, been the one to own that, and repair the relationship. Sometimes that means going to the specific department in the floor and saying, I need to own this. So you all have been, put in this little pigeonhole for whatever issue we had. Let's go ahead and discuss that. What happened here? Talk to me. What did you guys see that went wrong? What can we do to fix it? What do you guys need from us? There's a lot of management that does not do that. It just treats it like boo-hoo. No, no. You are the cause for that problem. And you're pushing the consequences down the line as though it's totally acceptable. The same things with, a messy environment and people leaving. You're like, that's your problem. Now you're bad for leaving. But you don't follow the same rules. You are exempt from those rules. Why are you special for that? Why don't you have to be held accountable to it? Why do you get to point the finger? Any issue that arises, instead of this, it should be this. You start here. Start here. Once you have shown that it's not you who made anything, and that doesn't mean you point your finger and go, oh, it's not me. You need to look and make sure it isn't you first. And you should be asking other people, did I do this? Is this my fault? If it's not your fault, they're going to go, nope, it had nothing to do with you. Now you can go see where it's at. But as a leader, your first response should be, what did I do? Did I miss something? Did I say something I shouldn't have? Do I need to repair a particular rule? Do I need to go talk to someone? That's what you should be doing. That is business excellence. That is leadership. That is exactly how you manage. And if you don't know what's going on because you don't talk to people, you can't improve anything. It could be, too, that you have a bad leadership method. That happens. You could have a very poor leadership method. Go and say, how am I doing? Am I helping you? Am I supporting you? Do you believe that I have your back? What is the honest truth? They might say the honest truth is, I'm afraid that if I tell you anything, I'll get fired. You should want to hear that, but that should bother you. That should bother you. Start with, did I do anything wrong? Not who else can be at fault. And see where you need to repair it. If you don't know where you need to repair it, go talk to the people who do it. They will tell you one way or another how it needs to be repaired. Now you have the information. Now you can go and find a solution for it. And if you've got people who are at the bottom who are very ambitious and are trying to help and they're moving fast, don't box them in. Move them from that role to a role where they can actually do something. Yes, do the paperwork for it. Do the unpleasantries, and don't do, well, we just don't have a role open. You could make the role, please. You have the capability of making the role. You have the capability of changing the attendance policy. Don't give me this nonsense of it's just we can't do it, our hands are tied. Yes, you can. Maybe what you should be doing is you should try to make the role. And when you get pushback from someone else saying, no, we're not doing that, you go, yes, we actually are. Maybe you should be fighting for that instead of going, hands are tied, can't do anything. That's part of the problem. It's easier to point the blame than to do something about it. Leadership is about owning it and doing something about it. It's a very simple process, too. It requires humility. But leadership is not, I'm a king, here's my scepter, crack the whip, make the peasants work. That's not leadership. That's called tyranny. If you're management and you're a tyrant, you are the problem. You should be a servant leadership. Not crack the whip and boss the peasants around. Servant leadership. And servant leadership starts with pointing the finger at yourself and saying, am I the problem, or did I do something that caused this first? Believe me, you'll have a much happier workforce and you'll have much better reports. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, any comments, please feel free to put them in, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate the support. You guys have a good week, okay?